Thank you very much. Good evening. My name is Dante Acosta, and it's really my pleasure to be here tonight. And I really want to thank the Canyon Country Advisory Committee, and I want to thank the Canyon Moose Lodge for hosting us tonight. But most importantly, I want to thank all of you for coming out tonight and giving up your evening. First off, I'd like to introduce my wife, Carolyn. She's here in the room. If you can stand up, Carolyn. Thank you. You know, Carolyn and I fell in love with Canyon Country 27 years ago, almost 28 years ago. When we very first got married, we moved up here. We started a family, like many of you. We've been very proud to raise our 3 children here in Canyon Country ever since. We're longtime volunteers, both at, in the community, Rotary, school, Little League, etc., like so many of you are, and that's what makes such a great, cohesive community here in Santa Clarita. I grew up in a family that owned small businesses, and I've worked for small, medium, large, and some very large companies in my career. And over 20 years ago, I became a financial advisor. And part of being a financial advisor for the last 20 years is what I've been able to do is I advise individuals and small businesses on their retirement, their investments, and their estate planning. That gives me a unique perspective of what's happening in our economy today. Santa Clarita is truly an amazing community. It's had a great 25 years, the first 25 years, and I look forward to the next 25 years in its growth. But it's now in the big leagues, and it's competing in the big leagues, and we have to be prepared for the future. Here's what you can expect from me. My priorities, if you will, when I'm elected, should I be so lucky and fortunate to earn your vote. We need to attract more good, high-paying jobs to Santa Clarita. I'll work hand in hand with our city staff, with our Economic Development Corporation, with our Small Business Development Corporation, and other stakeholders. And I will bring my experience and my contacts jointly with them, work on bringing some of those businesses to this community and really boost things here. But more importantly, let's make small business a priority. Let's get cut through the red tape. Let's have an emphasis on our small businesses. I have heard over and over again from small businesses that they're challenged. We need to improve traffic flow in the city. Public safety. I've gone out and because it's such an important fact here in Santa Clarita, I've gone out and I've had discussions with a lot of our law enforcement, whether it's some of our school deputies to upper levels, and they've given me a lot of great ideas to make our community safer. We need to expand our educational, our youth, and our senior programs by developing more parks and exploring options for a new senior center. We need to continue working on important issues like CEMEX and Whitaker-Burmite, but more importantly, I'm a collaborator. I can get things done, and I'll restore civility to the City Council, and I will listen to you. So join me in my drive to expand economic opportunities and jobs, and support me this coming April 8th. Please go to my website, DanteAcosta.com. I appreciate it. Thank you. Come on,
before we get to the questions, let me just reiterate something. Excuse me. Before you ask the first question, let me just, again, for those of you that weren't here at the beginning, please keep your questions straightforward and concise, and yes, you may ask more than one question. I noticed several of you wanted to ask each of the candidates a question. If you want to do that, come up again and ask them that same question if you wish. So please, our first question.
Refresh our memory.
Once again, what do you believe are the most pressing environmental issues facing the city of Santa Clarita?
Thank you, Sandra. You and I have had conversations in the past. I've done a lot of outreach to the community, and it seems like we have those pressing issues like CEMEX that really need to have some focus and emphasis put on them, and renewed emphasis. Now, I understand there's a Senate bill. We have to go through the scoring process and all that, but I don't think it can be overstated as to what would happen with that caliber of a mine here. It's not just the health issues, which are obviously very important. I have children here. It's not just your breathing. It's not just the traffic. But think about the particulate matter in the air. Think about the additional traffic that would ensue, and also the additional pollutants that would come from that. We've got to have stormwater runoff from that site that even though they're going to do the best job they can to maintain that and to contain that, we really need to redouble our efforts there. Issues like the chloride issue, I think we need to stay in front of those issues and not let them fester, and make sure that as a community and as a council that we're making sure the community is informed on those issues, and we're staying abreast of them and ahead of those issues so they don't grow and become bigger problems. Thank you.
Lori Rivas, what qualifies you to sit on the Library Board of Trustees? And beyond balancing the book, what responsibility do you see as your role on the Library Board of Trustees? Thank you.
Thank you for the question, Lori. In addition to obviously balancing the books, and that's something that is a bit of my forte, and having a financial services background, one of the things that we have to look at, we have the library system now. So we need to look forward how we can continue to have that library system, like many of our programs in Santa Clarita, be state-of-the-art and really serve the needs of each individual community that they're in. We have a massive library over in Newhall. It's a kind of a marquee property there. We need to figure out how we can best utilize that. What qualifies me is my ability to collaborate and learn and be able to communicate effectively those issues back to the community, and my ability and my willingness, more importantly, to listen to the community as to what they feel are the most important things. If we need additional books or different types of books, if we need more electronic information, more computers, etc., being able to sit down and listen and reflect the community's will. Because I can have all the great ideas that I want, but part of being a city council person is listening to you and representing the community. So I think that's probably the most important thing that I can do, is by listening and reflecting the community's will in that in the library system. Thank you for the question.
Cher Gilmore. Again, I would like to know where climate change and stopping global warming is on your list of priorities. I noticed you didn't mention it as one of your environmental things that you think are important in terms of environmental issues.
90 seconds, it's tough to get everything out, so we'll do the best that we can. I think for me, I have to look at what the city's goals are, what we've already signed on to do. It's not my number one priority, but having been a Boy Scout for most of my life and someone that enjoys the outdoors, I'm very concerned with our environment. But like everything else, it's a balancing act. We have to look at what's in the best interest for our community, what's in the best interest for our citizens and our taxpayers. And you use the term global warming. I'm not sure if man-made global warming is something that is the consensus today, or if it's climate change or what have you. I'm not an expert in that area. So what I would do is I would sit down and I would listen to the experts in that area, both from city staff, from the environmental community. Sandra and I have a good relationship. I'm always willing to talk to her, and we have an open door. And we may not always see eye to eye, but as long as we're willing to listen to one another and being able to share ideas and concepts, one of the things I can assure you is that I will never shut out someone from the community that wants to bring forth their ideas, their suggestions, and their viewpoint, because that's part of the job as a city council person. But thank you so much for the question.
Thank you. Thank you for being willing to be educated.
If we're not learning, we're dying.
Yes, I'm Todd Hoover from CCAC again. Dante, I know you have previously run for the 25th Congressional District, and I suspect that you probably have your sights set on eventually attaining a higher office. My concern would be that when you get elected, or if you get elected to City Council, that you would fill out your term and not, say, leave in the middle of the term if you get elected to something else. We had a previous council member, Cameron Smythe, who essentially did that. So would you be able to assure us that you will finish your elected term? Thank you.
Well, thanks for the question. And in respect to any, future run, we don't know what – we have to get through this election first. Let's start with that. With respect to having run in the past, there were some very specific things that we wanted to accomplish as a community, as a family, as a family of a fallen soldier. We had very specific issues that weren't being addressed. We got them addressed. We got changes made into the military protocols, and we got a lot of things changed and corrected that we felt as a Gold Star family and as a Gold Star family community that we needed to get changed. And so many of you know that story. But the question is still a fair one. Will I serve 4 years? That's the term. My commitment is to serve an entire 4 years. And should I be so blessed to sit on the city council, it would be to give my level best. The reason why I ran for in the past for the 25th, they're not incompatible with me running for city council. I love this community. I love this community with a deep underlying passion. All of you in this room, so many of you in this community came out and supported our family when the chips were down. You all remember the processional for our son Rudy. And when you see that as a family, there's something that goes through your spine and says, wow, by the grace of God, we were blessed to be in this community almost 28 years ago, and we're continue to be there. So thanks for the question. Appreciate it.
Hi, I'm Carol Sherwood, and I'm a transplant from New Jersey. So I tell
What
it like
exit?
it is.
Couldn't resist.
I have a question for you. What is your view of maybe changing the charter so we vote for a council and a mayor separately as opposed to rotating the mayor among the council members? Thank you.
Good question. Changing a charter and a city charter is a complicated thing. Just as a rough brush past the question, I would not be opposed to that. You have to balance, do you have a strong mayor? Do you have a weak mayor? What does the charter say? Does the city control other aspects of the community that they don't currently control? Those kinds of issues. I'm not entirely comfortable with the rotation system that we have. However, it is what's in place, and obviously we would all have to live by that. But one of the things that I would do is I would go out into the community and continue to do that, continue the outreach, and work with each one of you, and work with the city, and work with the city attorney, et cetera, to basically look at what can be done and should it be done. I think that's the first question that should be answered, is what do the constituents want? What do you all want? And then overlay, my personal viewpoint and what's proper, overlay it on top of that. So thanks for the question. Anybody else? We have 11 whole minutes. I'm surprised my wife hasn't gone up and asked me a question. Did you take out the trash? No, sit down, honey. Sit down.
Brian Springer, Can Country. I'll ask you the same question. Did you support the city taking over the libraries? And I'll change my question a little bit, follow up. What do you think could be done differently or better from the libraries?
Oh, with the libraries,
yeah,
okay.
Did you support it, and what do you think could be done differently? Thank you.
Frankly, like Councilmember Keller, I did not support the library with the amount of information that I had. With what's in the paper and going to some of the city council meetings and, listening to the, testimony, et cetera. I was not an advocate. However, like Mr. Keller, I believe I've changed my position on that. I'm a proponent of the more local, the smaller, the more local control you can have over entities that you're supplying as a community, as a city. The more control you have, the better. I think the smallest form of government that we can have that still gets the job done and perhaps does a better job, I think you're going to find that by and large, for the most part, local government, much like the formation of the city of Santa Clarita vis-a-vis LA County, we have much more local control, and ostensibly and hopefully we're all involved to the extent that we can go out and we can make those changes and those corrections that we might see. One of the things, 10 seconds, one of the things I think we can improve upon is some of the titles that we have. We have a little more access to some more titles. That would be something I think we could probably improve on. Thanks for the question, Brian. Nothing worse than standing up here waiting for people. Come on. Richard's just going to make me stand up here until you guys all exhaust the clock. So come on up.
Hi, my name is Cliff Staudinger. My wife Andrea and I are 30-year residents now of Santa Clarita, having relocated from Illinois. So we love it here. You mentioned that one of the things you'd like to work toward is improvement of traffic flow through and around the valley. Mm-hmm. What's your position of fighting for the completion of Via Princesa as it connects to Valencia?
Goes kind of hand in hand or hand in glove with the environmental issues. We've got an environmental cleanup with some of the different parcels in the Whitaker-Burmite property. It's a very long, very complicated process. And I would like to see that, obviously, like anybody in this room, continue to go through. Having an east-west corridor, those of us that live over on this side of the valley, we're at a distinct disadvantage just by simply getting over to our hospital. It's one thing to take 30 minutes to get to the mall. It's another story when you're having a medical emergency that you need to get over to the other side to go to the hospital. So I think one of the things that we need to work on is how can we expedite at least getting a road through there, should that be something that we should push for and continue to work for. But looking at the synchronization and the timing and the traffic flow and the traffic patterns of our community, very, very important. Being able to expedite that, and also being able to work very, very diligently on continuing that cleanup and getting it done. I will bring renewed energy, renewed focus, renewed passion to make sure that those things get completed. Thank you. Sandra.
Yes, I love to play devil's advocate here. There are many cities like Manhattan Beach that are very proud to be green cities with lots of environmental, positive environmental things going on in their city, from LEED certified building, subsidized electrical power for cars. Would you like to see Santa Clarita become known as an environmentally friendly city and a green city leader?
Yes, with a caveat. And the only caveat I would say is that my number one focus and goal is to have good, high-paying jobs in Santa Clarita. I don't want to visit my kids and my grandkids in Texas because all the jobs have moved there. However, with your question in mind, first of all, I'm someone who practiced what I preached. I drove a natural gas car for many, many years while I was, had a territory for one of the largest insurance companies in the world. I drove one of the most environmentally sensitive vehicles that you could drive in terms of pollution, et cetera. So I think a lot of these mandates, keep in mind, come down from the feds and the state. The federal level and the state level dictate so much of what we do here. Can we do more in the city? Absolutely. If it's economically makes sense, it makes sense. It's a proven technology. It's something that we can work on. Certainly, powering people's electric vehicles and having that ability to do that, I think, in more public places. I'd like to see a natural gas station over here on the east side of town, over here in Candy Country, because you can't fuel a natural gas vehicle here. You're either in San Fernando or you're up in Palmdale, and their station goes down all the time, or you're way out Copper Hill, almost out of the city. So I would definitely be open to some of those, and I'd love to sit down with you anytime and talk to you about them. Sandra, you know that.
Dante, I was happy to hear that you were a financial planner. And being that the case, we'd like to know, how would you encourage the educational departments here, the districts, to include more financial learning for the high school students in particular, so they're really ready to hit the road running when they graduate?
Great question. And I'm glad you used the word encourage, because the city and the city council don't have any control over education. You probably hear a little more about education in a few minutes. However, number one, I would avail myself, as I do in our kids' school, to provide some instruction on a volunteer basis. I do that on a regular basis. But I think it needs to start before high school. I think it needs to start really in elementary school and teaching good habits. Hopefully they're being taught in the home. But we are one of the few countries that doesn't really even teach its own economic system. That's the travesty here. Most people don't know how the markets work, the economy, the Fed, currencies, all of those kind of things. But even more basic, I can tell you how many of my clients couldn't balance their own checkbooks. Really a challenging thing. So absolutely, I would encourage it to whatever extent that I could, and I would certainly be willing to participate in it as I always have. Thanks for the question, Myra. Come on down.
Jerry Stack, Newhall. Would you be for a new senior center?
Ran out of time, but absolutely, it was one of my bullet points here. I think we need to explore options for a senior center, perhaps a public-private partnership. I think we just need to look at that and explore that. But I don't know of anybody that really wouldn't be for that. I definitely would be. Thank you. Yes, I would be for dark skies.
Okay, thank you.
Some of us know
I can go
Steve
back.
very well. You can go sit down. I know your question.
I just wanted to get a feeling from you regarding the chloride issue. The feeling I get is that a lot of people think that the issue is settled, and I'm wondering what actions you would take to pursue to help get the limit lowered to the 100 milligrams per liter that would allow us to forego having to build expensive infrastructure that I think all of us would be in agreement may actually not be necessary to affect the crops between here and Piru. So I didn't know where. It seems like Tim Ben is by himself in helping to fight that 100 milligram limit at this point. I might be wrong, but I wanted to get your feedback.
Okay. Well, I think you and I have collaborated and communicated in the past on this, and if I wasn't clear, I want to make sure that I'm perfectly clear. I believe what happened with the chloride issue was unfair. It was unjust to this community. It was something that I believe that certainly we as a community or some of our bodies that control that, we're asleep at the switch. And if you don't, when I mentioned staying ahead of the chloride issue, I mean that if you aren't ahead of those issues, making sure you're looking at them before they fester and before those are really a problem. Now we're sitting here with a $100 millions of dollars event here. I've been at every one of the meetings. I think I missed one on the chloride issue. Every one of the outreaches, I've testified, I've spoken out about it. I believe that it was a scam. And I don't believe, and I'm sorry it's a strong word, but I don't believe that this community who's getting 50% of our limit is being delivered to us by the state, and just through normal usage of just being an industrialized society and then cleaning up our water, having it go downstream is really as much of a problem as they make it out to be, or certain constituencies make it out to be. Thanks for the question. I'm pretty fired up about that issue. Thanks. That's it.
That was the last question, so now
you bet. Wet my whistle a little bit here. It's just water. At least that's what you gave me. So.
We're here to help.
Once again, I want to thank the Canyon Country Advisory Committee and the Moose Lodge, Richard and Mike, for being here and helping to moderate this. It's truly an honor to participate in an event like this and reach out to the citizens. And if you would honor me with serving as your city council member, I will commit to you that I will do my level best to bring jobs to this community. I'm a collaborator. I'll work with city staff, the EDC, Chamber of Commerce, the Small Business Development Corporation, et cetera, to work on developing more high-paying jobs here. Let's focus on our mom and pops. Let's help them out a little bit. We have a unique character to our city, and we need to help those. We need to maintain our fiscal responsibility, and that's something that I'll bring in expertise to, that unlike anybody else in the city. I want to work on making your life a little bit easier by working on the traffic issues and improving traffic flow around the city. I'm going to work very hard with law enforcement. I've already done a lot of outreach. I'm going to work with city staff, volunteer organizations, and our religious community to keep Santa Clarita safe for family, which is why so many of us live here. We must keep a tight rein on some of these businesses that are perhaps causing a few issues in our city. Some of you know what I'm talking about. It's time, perhaps, that we have a full-time vice unit in Santa Clarita. We got to look at options and perhaps maybe ways that we can accomplish that. But what I bring to the table is the ability to reach out and communicate with the leadership of the Sheriff's Department. I've got extensive contacts there going back decades, and I'm going to do everything I can to keep Santa Clarita safe for family. If you want to see what can happen to a community, as Dwayne alluded to, all you have to do is go back to my hometown in the San Fernando Valley. The contrast is striking, and if you haven't done it recently, drive around parts of the San Fernando Valley and you see what we're talking about. I've worked to expand resources for our youth and seniors and continue the fight on the big issues like Cemex, Whitaker, Burmite, and the chloride issue. I'm dedicated to the city, but I want to assure you of one thing. I will listen to you. I will be your champion at City Hall, someone who will take your voice, listen to you, and respect your opinions. Even if we don't agree, I will take all of that into consideration when making a decision. It's a little bit like doing a plan for a client. You have to consider all the facts before you make and rush to judgment. I will be able to do that for you. For me, this campaign is about the people I'd represent, and I'd like to hear your ideas. So please visit my website at DanteAcosta.com. Click on the links to comment, and while you're there, please put your name down as a supporter and endorse my campaign. Please vote for me on April 8th, and I'll ensure that Santa Clarita remains the best place to live in California. Thank you so much for your time and your attention.